My mom was worried that I was gonna drop dead. I'm fine, Mom, I'm fine.
What's up, fertility babe?
Let's get these babies, ladies.
To make those rainbows in my mind when I think.
What's up, fertility fam? How are you? I hope you are well. If you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. My name is Tanika. Thank you for clicking on Simply Tanika. This is my video about my COVID-19 vaccine experience. So I made an appointment online. Basically, so I live in New York City. There is this guy on Twitter who now I think it's called Vax something. I'll put it here. And basically you follow him and he is updating where test sites are available like every 15 minutes or whatever. I tried for a whole day and hadn't been able to get through. So anyway, I was able to secure an appointment through this bot that they use. I went in and I registered, and like I had followed this person on Twitter, or this account on Twitter, and probably like within the hour I had booked my appointment. Meanwhile, on my own, I had already tried for a whole day with no success. The girls are playing over here. So anyway, my appointment was at 2:45 a.m. on Saturday, the 6th of March. Yikes! Remember, I made a vow to be on time for things. Not so much. I woke up and I was like, hey Google, what time is it? And it was like 3:45 or 3:15 or something like that. So I jumped up, hopped into the shower, put my clothes on, and got down there. I think I got there just a little bit before 4. It's at the Javits Center. Very sci-fi going into the building. So Javits Center is a convention center here in New York. It's a big industrial looking cement and glass building. And I go in and they're like queuing you up. Well, first of all, they are the National Guard. Everywhere you look, there's people in uniform. So it was something like out of that movie Outbreak, or just nothing I ever thought I would see in my lifetime. So there's armed, or they weren't armed, they were uniformed. I did check to see if they were armed. I believe outside they were armed, but once we got inside they were not. So they were uniformed officers, guards, National Guards, servicemen and women. And they kind of like queue you up. So first you go, and it's COVID, so there's plexiglass everywhere. There's things that are scanning, taking your temperature. I only know that because I was asked to move my hat up so that like I was coming and they couldn't take my picture and my temperature at the same time. And so the guy, like, you know, it's winter, so I had on like a knit cap and it was covering my forehead. So I had to pull it back. Otherwise I would have just passed by and they would have taken my picture and my temperature and I would have been none the wiser. I go up to a window and I hand over my ID that he wants to see the ticket, the registration ticket, which I misunderstood. I didn't print it out, but he let me pull it up on my phone from the email they sent, and there's a barcode. He scanned it and he said, you know, save it in your phone because you're gonna have to show that again. He looked at my ID, he looked at my paperwork, and then he gave me a special marker based on what was on my paperwork. And it was, I mean, basically it was like an ink pen with a flag on it. They had like blue ones and gray ones. I think mine was blue. And so he just said, wave this when you get to the other line so they know which way to queue you. And so I went down, and I'm saying went down, but you're like marching through. It's like going through an airport, not like a JFK, not a big airport, but an airport nonetheless, like a medium-sized airport. And so you're going down, I wave my little flag, they queue, you know, point me that way to this queue. I go on that side, and then I come around a corner and there's like rows of desks with plexiglass, and there's a big number outside of each, or no, letters. There were letters outside of each desk, and then there's a lamp there also with a letter on it so you can see it. So I wait there, and they have the stickers on the ground 6 feet apart. Finally, I don't know, maybe 7 minutes or so, the guy waves me over and is like, go down to H. So I go down to H, I sit down. He wants to see my ID, he wants to see all my paperwork, he wants to scan the things. He asked me a couple questions about my health and whatnot. Do I understand what the virus, what the vaccine does? And then the questions like, have I been exposed to anyone? Have I traveled? All that fun stuff. And then he says, okay, and he gives me a sticker that has a series of numbers on it, and he says, make sure that the vaccine person can see this number. Great. So then I go down, I get up, he says, follow the yellow arrows. And that's throughout the whole thing. It was like, it reminded me of Wizard of Oz, follow the yellow brick road, except it's like, follow the yellow arrows, follow the yellow arrows. Arrows.
Say that 3 times fast. Follow the yellow arrows.
Then I'm go down and around, and then I come around a corner and there's another giant space. And this time it looks like an amusement ride, right? So it's like the queue where it's going around like a snake, and then we're all waiting 6 feet apart. It gets so crowded that then someone else, like the line behind me, National Guard comes in and they move it. So then we're lined up this way and then this way. It was very weird. Anyway, so you go through there, another service person tells you to wait, and then they're like scanning the floor of where there's openings, and so they're like, okay, you go down to 13, now it's a blue line, follow the blue line, make a right, and sit down at table 13. Go down there. Again, I need this thing on my phone, which I have closed the app again. I did have my ID out. I did have my vest off and my sleeve rolled up, ready for my injection. We go through a series of questions. It was a nice young man. And then he has me give my ID to a woman who's sitting at a computer, and she's pulling up things. She's asking me about medical stuff. She was like, did you stop by the medical desk? And I was like, oh yeah. And it was on, my little sticker was on my vest that I took off. So I was like, oh yeah, he gave me this. Pull it, show her. She's like, okay, fine. And then she asked me, like, are you here for, what did she say? Age, health, or work? And so I said health and work. And then she said, okay. And then the guy explains to me, your arm is going to be a little bit sore. Which one is your dominant arm? And I was like, it's the right arm. He said, so you might want to do it in the left. It's going to be a little bit sore for a day or two. It's an intramuscular shot. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I rolled this up. He goes through what some side effects might be. Oh, at the other group, I have the paper. I'll grab it in a second. The other table, they gave me like a printout of things the medical guy gave me a thing of like what might be happening, like things to look out for, blah, blah, blah. The guy who's doing the injection then says, you might have an immediate reaction. He asked me, have I ever had like a reaction to a shot before? An immediate reaction. So no, or any medication, because I have had a reaction to penicillin, but not an immediate one. So he said, okay. And then the last thing he was like, okay, so this is the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which I knew from my paperwork. You will not have to get a second shot. You will not have to get a second dose. Do I have your permission to inject you? Sci-fi, right? Like, do I have your permission to inject you?
I was like, yeah.
So he puts it in, and it goes in, it goes in like any other needle. When it first, like when the liquid first starts to go in, it doesn't feel like much, and then it has like a burning feeling as it goes in. It is an intramuscular, so I think it's as it's getting deeper in the muscle, it was like a burning feeling. It wasn't, it was burning like jalapenos, like if a jalapeno, surprised you in a taco. It wasn't like, oh, my arm is on fire. So he finishes, it's a long shot. He finishes it and he was like, that wasn't bad, was it? And I was like, well, it stung a little bit, but I'm okay. And so he was like, it's going to basically be like a flu shot. You are, keep an eye on it. Look if there's anything odd happening at the injection site or any swelling. And then he said, there's seats over there when you go out if you want to sit for 15 to 30 minutes. He said, it's up to you, but you can sit. He was like, I would just sit for 30 minutes just to be sure. So I was like, okay. So I went over there. There's water. We're all socially distanced. I sat probably like 15, 18 minutes, not quite 20, and then I was ready to go. I felt fine. And then I was ready to go. So then I just hopped in an Uber. I took a picture on, there was like a nice thing that I got the shot. So I took that and posted it on Instagram. Yeah, and then that was it. And so I slept. I came back home. It was still dark when I left and when I came back, and then I came home and got back in the bed and slept. I woke up. I did have a headache, and so Cheyenne came and checked on me, and I said, I think it's probably a caffeine headache because I haven't had any coffee. So let me get some, caffeine in my system before I blame it on the shot. And I did get the caffeine, and it was fine. Oh, before I went to bed, I took 2 Tylenol. That was another thing that he told me was like, you might want to take some Tylenol before you lay down. So I did take the Tylenol. So that was why when I woke up with the headache, I was like, I think it's also caffeine, or I also think it's caffeine. So I took the coffee. About 15 minutes later, headache was gone. I was a little tired that day. I don't know if that was directly related to the shot or if I had been up at the wee hours of the morning or just a long week. So I can't just say that was all vaccine. And then today I'm fine. Like, I got up, I had a regular day with the girls. I went and got a massage. I feel great. It is like 9 o'clock at night. I'm gonna wrap it up because I'm on this thing where I try to get my sleep in started by 10. Other than that, I feel fine. And I talked to my mom about it. She feels encouraged. She said she'll probably get it now that she knows someone who got it. She's gonna wait a couple days and see how it affects me. But that was hopeful because she's immunocompromised from the chemo last year. My sister is from being a kidney recipient, a donor recipient. So hopefully I'll get to see them this year. So I'm excited. I'm excited that I got the vaccine. I'm excited that it's only one shot. I got it because my reproductive endocrinologist recommended that I get it before I have my frozen embryo transfer. And I'm glad I got the one shot because she did caution that a lot of people were reporting fevers when they got this second shot. And I'm just saying this for what my personal experience is. If you have an opportunity to get the vaccine, get whichever one they give you. For my specific circumstances, I was glad that I got the one shot because some people were getting a fever, right? Because they got the first injection, their body built up antibodies, which it's supposed to do. And then after a little while, 21 days, you get the second one. And now you're introducing that same RNA to help build up more antibodies, but the antibodies that are already there are now reacting to the new introduction of the RNA of the vaccine, and so you get a fever because your body's like, oh, bad guys are here, and they send out the army. So Dr. McConnell, my RE, did caution that if I had a fever going into transfer, I would not be admitted into the facility because you can't have a fever going in, even if it is from the vaccine, like they don't know. So yeah, I was glad that I got it. But again, if you have an opportunity to get it, get whatever one they give you. Okay, let me really quick grab the paperwork that they gave me back with an interruption and some paperwork. So fact sheet for recipients and caregivers, emergency use authorization of the Janssen COVID-19 vaccine to prevent coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19 in individuals 18 years of age and older. So the Janssen is the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which they explain to you while you're there. And so it's Janssen Pharmaceuticals. Basically, it's like 3 pages there and then 2.5 here with the instructions on it. So things that you're looking out for: difficulty breathing, swelling of your face and throat, a fast heartbeat, a bad rash all over your body. So like anaphylactic shock, basically. Tell the vaccine provider about all your medical conditions, including if you have any allergies. So this is what they gave me at the first medical station. The second station I was at, because I stopped at a total of 3 stations. Before the third one is where I got the vaccine. So the second guy told me, like, let him know if you were on blood thinners, or which I'm not. I'm starting them tomorrow as part of my FET protocol, the baby aspirin or the low dose aspirin, which is a blood thinner, right? So I'm not, so that wasn't a concern. Pregnant or plan to become pregnant. I do plan to become pregnant, so I disclosed that. Then they give you all the warnings that it hasn't been tested on pregnant women. Obviously they can't do testing on pregnant women. Anyway, they, go through all of the things to make sure that you're comfortable. He talked me through a few of these. I told him that he, being the second desk that I stopped at, I told him that it had been recommended by my RE. And so he was like, oh, good. You probably have more information than most people coming in and yada, yada, yada. That was good. Oh, and then when I was done, they gave me this little card that says I've been vaccinated. They had to modify mine because they were made for like 2 doses. So they put a little sticker of the Janssen vaccine on it across both of them because there's only 1 dose. So yeah. That was my experience getting the vaccine. It all went well. Yeah, it was pretty straightforward and simple. I was in and out, including my little waiting period, within an hour. And everybody was nice, polite. Everybody was respecting boundaries as far as like keeping social distancing, and the guards were nice. One of them complimented me on my outfit. So it didn't feel too crazy, although I felt like I was entering into like some military compound when I first got there. I left a happy camper and vaccinated. All right, if you have any questions about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine or the experience at the Javits Center, let me know down below. I'm happy to address it. Or if you want to DM me, I will keep you posted on how I'm doing, but I did wait. Today is Sunday. I got the vaccine yesterday, so it's been over 24 hours. I did wait to give an update just so, you know, in case I drop dead, then my update would be moot. Just kidding. But my mom was worried that I was going to drop dead. I'm fine, Mom. I'm fine. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Baby does to us all.